Well, first of all, thank you for doing this, Brett. This is an amazing event, something that public schools aren't used to doing. I know they've been doing it with the private school sectors for a little while now, and to do this is amazing. And to all the people that are here, that first and foremost support high school athletics. That's what this is about. That's what these guys are about. That's what I'm about. And so thank you for coming, and thanks, Brett, for doing this, and PBR for being a part of it. This year, we have these three players, and we have quite a few other good players in our program. So far right now, the biggest hurdle is trying to not be a byproduct of our success, and really focus on the here and now and what we can do as a group. Sometimes it's hard for young kids to get out of their own way with regards to that. These guys have been in the program for 2 years. You know, we win 31 games last year. We won 26 games the year before that. And if you look at the roster, maybe we're not as talented as we were the years before that. So sometimes negative thoughts creep in. Sometimes selfishness creeps in. And our biggest hurdle is going to really be ourselves, which is probably what every coach is saying. If we can get out of our own way and do the things that they're asked to do, then I feel like we have a good group, a really good group. We have enough core pieces returning. We have some young kids in our program. Our JV team last year played the same schedule we did, and I know JVs are way drastic than varsity, but they played the same schedule, and they were like 25-2. So we have some good young kids in our program that can play really vital roles in doing what we're doing. If these guys can step up some leadership and stay focused to the task, then I like our chances.
I'll open it up to the media for questions.
Thank you. Lance Smith, Scorebook Live. Question for anyone. Last year's run, a lot of close, good games, exciting, very successful, of course. How did you guys handle all the pressure, just back-to-back-to-back, single elimination, all the way going deep?
I'll let one of the players answer that.
I think it all stems from our culture, and that Coach Weber really prides on us to win each inning. And we talk about winning each inning and being focused on each pitch at a time, and not focused on the past, because we have the next pitch, and not looking too far forward, but just being in the present. And I think that's something that we were really good at last year, is just taking it one inning, one pitch, one inning, one game at a time, and not looking too far ahead.
Anybody else want to add anything to that? No? Okay. Let me just add one thing to that, because the single elimination thing is difficult, there's no doubt. And that is a real challenge for kids to think about, this could be my last game. And that's really hard. And so the preparation of that concept really starts from the day they walk on our campus. You know, like, we can't focus on the things that we cannot control. We have to try and really focus on what we're doing today. And you know, we talk a little bit lately about being where your feet are, and being grounded, and just focusing on what we're focusing on. And our motto always is, if they do what we're asking them to do, our coaching staff is going to be organized enough to give them a good game plan for them to have a chance to be successful. And if we can just focus on those things, then the rest is the rest.
Coach Bob Gibson, SoCal Prep Report. You mentioned some of the pitfalls maybe from the success last year. What are some of the advantages for you and for the kids for having gone through that experience a year ago?
I'll let the players go first to that.
I think for the returners, it's easy for us to, like, we've had experience in, like, the playoffs and stuff, so it's easy for us to, like, help the younger guys guide them through all the hard games we're gonna have to play, because I mean, it's a total new group of guys, and for us three and a couple more that have experience, it helps the younger guys.
What was the second part of that question again? Sorry.
The advantages of having gone through that, right, and maybe kind of just building upon what.
I'll be honest with you. I've vacillated on this kind of a thought for years now, along the same line of, should I play a real challenging schedule because it gets my players ready to compete in the playoffs. And I'll be honest with you, I think kids are just kids, and we could play the worst schedule and be 27-0, and play a most rigorous schedule and be 15-15. And I think if we played a bunch of dogs and we were 27-0, they would feel better about themselves. I don't really think it matters, to be honest with you. It's really about how they're feeling that day and the momentum that we have going with them. I still believe personally that we try to play the best schedule we can. And then there's some comfort in the success. But at the end of the day, in the back of their mind, there still is always, if we lose, we are done. And sometimes, especially when you have seniors who have been committed to the program for a long time, that's a real tough challenge, that their high school days are numbered. And so to try and clear that out of their head and get them to be focused on the task is really a difficult thing. I'm not real sure that our success is any indication on what is today and what is tomorrow, per se, when it comes down to the playoffs.
Eric Sonheimer from the LA Times. Can you talk about, there's some great pitchers this season, particularly in Division I. Can you discuss how Brett will be able to fit in? He's the only one who's won on the, in a championship game, so he has that advantage. But explain what he's improved on and how you think he'll handle all that with these great pitchers this season.
Well, that's a really good question. And what I tell my players, I just told them this yesterday, you're looking at a guy that, excuse me, that has really no concept of anything other than what I do at Cypress High School. I mean, I don't coach a travel ball team. I don't go to travel ball games. I don't know who's good and who's not good, to be honest with you. I know that Division I is really tough, and there's a lot of really, really good players. So how Brett stacks up to a pitcher at Harvard Westlake that I don't know until we face them, and then I worry about it then, I can't really answer that. Brett has made great strides. Brett came in as a freshman, a little goofy, a little shy, a guy throwing about 78 miles an hour. But the one thing that Brett does that a lot of kids his age don't do is he's a competitor. And he wants to win. And he doesn't have to have great stuff. And I tell our players that you don't have to be the best player. You just got to be a great teammate, and you got to commit to what you're doing. And Brett does that, and he does that at a real high level. He's competitive as all hell, and he wants to win. And I think he raises the level of our team when he's on the bump. There's a sense of, hey, we're in this ball game when he's on the bump, and he competes his butt off. And through that time and that maturation process of his age, he's gotten bigger and stronger, and he throws a little harder, and he's developed a little cutter now, so he can get in there with a little bit of a cutter, and he can throw his breaker ball that he does, and his changeup is really developed to probably be in his best pitch now, or second best pitch, and then he could command both sides of the plate with his fastball, and he's elevated his miles per hour a little bit, but yeah.
Webb, Les Lukacs, PBR, California. You lost 4 very significant players and seniors last year, including PBR California State Player of the Year, Cameron Rapetti. The cupboard's obviously not bare with these 3 guys. You got a pretty key transfer and a middle infielder and a freshman that has you excited, I guess you can say.
Yeah. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about, you don't replace those 4 guys. What do you do to try to fill those voids?
You don't replace them. That's the old age question of, we are so successful last year. Which team is better? I've been very fortunate to be a part of 3 CIF titles at Cypress High School, and that seems to be the question people want to ask is what group is better, and you really can't do that, and you really can't compare a player to a player. But you're right, we lost some key players, but we have, besides these 3, we have Noah Carter, who's been a 3-year starter for us, who'll be playing third base and has done a really good job. And we got a shortstop transfer, which we don't normally get transfers at Cypress High School, but in Davis Hildebrandt, who's a pretty good player. And he'll add some stability in the middle of the field. And then we have this freshman kid by the name of Abe Carruvias, who will be probably the next great shortstop at Cypress High School down the road. He's a really talented player, but we also he's battling right now at second base with another really good sophomore kid by the name of Garcia. and so David Garcia. And so there's some good pieces to that. And then we have Jason Blood, who, my great coaching job, I tried to cut him last year, and he was resilient and didn't want to get cut. And now all of a sudden he goes from being a third baseman that can't run and can't hit to a right-handed pitcher that could throw 88 miles an hour from the side, and it's pretty funky, and he's going to be pretty good. So there's those pieces, and we have a senior kid who's a super talented player, and Cody Lagafuena that has been unfortunate around a lot of really good players and hasn't had a chance to play, and so he's going to hopefully lock down center field for us if he can be right, like we think he can. And then we have some other pieces. So you can't replace a Michael Marsh. You can't replace who's an unbelievable player for us in every aspect, as a leadership and all the stuff that he did, and as a coach on the field, and Cameron Rapetti and Tyler Chafee and Elias Rios. We're not going to replace those guys, but we gotta just work with what we got, and we got to get better, and we got to focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. We got to focus on where we are now, not what we were, and move forward.
Steve Doherty, PBR. Jackson, Williams College, Luke, USC, Waz, Kansas State. Talk a little bit, each guys, about why the decision to go there.
Kansas State. I chose Kansas State because I always wanted to go to the Midwest. I was first at Nebraska. That didn't work out. And then with Webb's help, Kansas State came along. And it's just a family town, family atmosphere. And it's an upcoming baseball program with a chance to go to Omaha. And so I took it.
SC, it's always been my dream school. My brother went there for 4 years, so I got to experience that with him and just kind of fell in love with it. I already knew the coaches and like the whole atmosphere and everything around it, so it just felt like home.
Personally, I pride myself on being a student athlete and taking the classroom very seriously. So I had to find the right fit for college. So it took me a while, and Williams kind of fell in my lap after sending out some emails, and actually I was like really pleased with what I found. I hadn't done much research into the college, but I found that it was the #1 liberal arts school in the country, and it's a place where I can excel both as a player and as a student, and it just sets me up for life.
What's your GPA?
I won't say that, but I took the ACT in the September of my junior year, and I got a 34 on it.
That says enough, right? Super,
Coach,
yes.
Coach, I got one question, and it's been a tough week for a lot of people. Can you speak a little bit about #1 Alto and #2 Steve Fullerton?
Wow, you're gonna make me cry. And then I'll add some more insult to injury. It's not a baseball guy, but one of my best friends, Matt Hattabaugh, who's a longtime Orange County guy. He's an area scout with the Rockies. His mom is like a stepmom to me, if you will. Call her Momo. She just passed away yesterday. Been a tough start. Been a real tough start. I was Alto and I coached at Santa Ana College, as most of you know, for 10 years, and so we had some long battles with Bilo there and Grahovac there and all those other guys and assistant coaches he's had. And John and I were not like besties, but we would be very cordial with each other. In fact, when we were in Nashville and he was winning his award and we were downtown and we had a couple pops together and hung out. And so I wouldn't say I'm super close to him, but he was a friend. I would call him a friend, and I would like to think he'd call me a friend too. And super sad. I woke up that morning with a text from Coach Fullerton, one of my old coaches, his wife, letting me know that Coach Fullerton had passed away. And then you get the news of Kobe, and then come to find out a couple minutes after that, I get some texts from some close people about Alto and his family. Just super sad. You know, I went home, and there's times when my wife and my kids tell me that and remind me that I'm not your player. Don't ride me like you ride the players. And you know, I went home and I tried to think about that and give some hugs to my kids and try to remind them myself that they're my kids and not my players, and not to be so hard and difficult with them. But Steve Fullerton was a high school baseball icon. What he did for so many is unfathomable. I got an amazing voicemail that I missed last night. I was listening to it on my way home, or on the way down here today. Made me crying in my car from his son. You know, Fullerton coached for a million years and never got to win a CIF title, and that's really all he ever wanted to do. He coached at Warren, and people respected him like crazy, but he never really had enough talent to get that to the golden place. And he left there and he coached with Kim Brooks, and they made it to the finals and lost, and he felt like he was cheated out of life. And then he went and coached with Kern, and they didn't make it. And then we were also fortunate. If he was here, he would tell you. He calls me a shark, because I would sink my teeth into him and never let him go. I kept trying to talk him into coaching. He would tell me, Coach, I don't know how to be a pitching coach. I was never a pitching coach in all these years. I go, Coach, I don't care. I just want you to coach with me. And I convinced him to do it, and he did it. And we were so fortunate as a program to, one, be around him, and for our program in 2013 to win a CIF title, and for him to win that. And then his son to leave me a voicemail this morning and talking about that and how much it meant to his son, because he knew how much it meant to his dad. It's pretty special. Yeah.